And we're witnessing the arrival of the Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, the Honorable Olivia Grange, OJ, CD, MP. Minister Grange is the host minister this morning, and she will welcome each official at their designated shrine this morning. On October 20, 1969, Jamaica as a nation first celebrated National Heroes Day. Door openers from the Jamaica Constabulary Force. And the minister is greeted by the protocol officer from the JCDC. And while they're having conversation, this is such a beautiful morning here at the National Heroes Park. And so 54 years later, we are continuing the celebration of those who not only continue to make Jamaica the great enterprise she really is, but those individuals who have fought for us and have paved the way for every Jamaican, those who built the legacy we enjoy today. Their names are etched in history forever. Of course, Minister of Education, the Honorable Favour Williams, joining the minister there, exchanging pleasantries as well. They are our national heroes indeed, and our everyday heroes, and that is the essence of National Heroes Day. It's another year, and we're coming to you live on this Heroes Day, the third Monday of October, from the National Heroes Park in Kingston, Jamaica. Thank you so much for tuning in right here at home, if you are in Jamaica, and across the world. We're streaming live on the website of the Jamaica Information Service, the JCDC, PBC Jamaica, the national stations, as well as Jam Vision. Good morning and welcome to Salute to the Heroes. I'm Adrian Atkinson, and this is the time when we pause to say thanks to those who fought the good fight for our freedom and nationhood. It's a time used by officials of state and government for the laying of thorough tributes at the monuments honoring our 7 heroes who have received the nation's highest honor, the Order of National Hero. Councillor Winston Ennis, OD, Deputy Mayor, representing His Worship, the Mayor Senator Councillor Delroy Williams, CD. And the councillor will be laying wreath at the designated monument to the Right Excellent Nanny of the Maroons. I'm also joined by Vivian Crawford, former Executive Director of the Institute of Jamaica. What a beautiful day this is, Mr. Crawford.
Terrific, terrific.
Indeed. And so the Minister will be greeting the officials this morning as they lay their tributes to the men and women who fought tirelessly for all of us.
Indeed.
And Councillor Winston Ennis, OD, Deputy Mayor, representing His Worship, the Mayor Senator Councillor Delroy Williams, greeted there by the Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, the Honourable Olivia Grange, OJCD, MP, as well as the Minister of Education, the Honourable Favour Williams. And they will make their way to the monument to the Right Excellent Nanny of the Maroons. Nani was a leader of the Maroons at the beginning of our 18th century, right, Sir Vivian?
Yes, sir.
Indeed, and it was on March 31, 1982, that the Right Excellent Nani of the Maroons was conferred the Order of the National Hero, as per Government Notice 23, Jamaica Gazette, along with Sam Sharp. And so the Councillor Ennis will now depart the National Heroes Park. How significant is this, Beng, Mr.
Well, it
Crawford?
was Jamaica's first cell phone.
It was Jamaica's first cell phone, you would put it that way, yes?
Of course, because it was a way to communicate.
Yes.
My special thing about Nani, I focus on stories that not many people know. She did not sign the treaty.
Yes.
She said you couldn't sign a treaty in a language you do not understand. So her brother signed the treaty. And there's a modern writer, Thomas Waste. He said, and that echoed what Nani was thinking, the large print giveth, what is small print taketh away.
Indeed.
That's a lesson.
There's just some beautiful shots there of the National Heroes Park. And you will also see members of the Jamaica Combined Cadet Force, the JCCF, which is a youth movement with a difference, as it is described, and it provides training to the nation's youth, giving them a feeling of stability and purpose. And the training is based upon military skills and seeks to appeal to the imagination of these youngsters, challenge them, and channel their energies into developing a model citizen equipped with disciplined leadership and life skills. And so much of that is on display this morning here at the National Heroes Park. At this time, we are witnessing the arrival of the Chief Justice, the Honorable Mr. Justice Brian Sykes, OJCD. And the Chief Justice will be laying wreath at the monument to the Right Excellent Samuel Sharp. Just a beautiful aerial shot there of this historic site. I mean, gone are the days when this particular spot was famous for horse racing.
Yeah, when I came to Kingston, it was called Race Course.
Yes, indeed.
Just 1953. It got a name, George VI Memorial Park.
Yes, and that later changed
Yes,
to
of
the National
course.
Heroes Park. And we see the door openers just
1973.
extending the courtesies. And so we are seeing the Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, the Honorable Olivia Grange, and of course the Minister of Education, the Honorable Fable Williams. The Outrider, and here now is Chief Justice, the Honorable Mr. Justice Brian Sykes, OJCD. Greeted by the Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, and the Minister of Education, exchanging pleasantries, and they will make their way to the monument to the Right Excellent Samuel Sharp. beautiful floral arrangement there. And they are escorted to the monument at this time where the Chief Justice, will pay his respect. And just a moment there for a photo opportunity, just to capture the moment this morning. And of course, Samuel Sharp, or Daddy Sharp as he was commonly known, a leader of the native Baptists in Montego Bay. It was he who said, "I would rather die upon yonder gallows than live in slavery."
Yes, he meant for a peaceful resistance, and there were persons in the group who did not want that. And as they say, the rest is history. But it's so fortuitous that we are having this commemoration this year, because it was only in 1838 that our ancestors were given surnames. We did not have surnames because we were regarded as half human and half animal.
Very
like a pet.
Bit of
information
there.
So this is a significant year. Yes, 1838, we were given surnames.
And the Honorable Mr. Justice Brian Sykes, OJCD, will now depart the National Heroes Park and make his way to the lawns of King's House. Now, Samuel Sharp was hanged on May 23, 1832, but in 1834 the Abolition Bill was passed by the British Parliament, and in 1838 slavery was abolished.
Yes, and the king who signed the Abolition Act, he stayed at what is now 10 East Street, the Institute of Jamaica. It was an inn, and he had come with Lord Nelson when he was a sailor. Things just happen in a mysterious way.
Mysterious ways, and it is now part of our history.
Yes.
Now, on March 31, 1982, the Right Excellent Sam Sharp, like Nanny of the Maroons, was conferred the Order of the National Hero. Again, as per Government Notice 23, Jamaica Gazette. Heroes Park, and we can see the ceremonial guards from here, and just standing there, the national monument located in the shrine of the Heroes Park. And this monument was originally located at Church Street, but was relocated to George VI Memorial Park, now National Heroes Park, in 1953. And the sentries guarding the monument.
Do you know why it was moved in 1953? It was a visit of the Queen.
Visit of the Queen. And we're going to get back to that bit of information and conversation in a short while as we now witness the arrival of the Most Honorable Juliet Holness, MP, Speaker of the House of Representatives. And the Most Honorable Mrs. Holness will be laying wreath at the designated monument to the Right Excellent George William Gordon. Of course, she will be greeted by both ministers, Minister of Education and Youth, the Honorable Favour Williams, and the host minister, Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, the Honorable Olivia Grange, OJ, CD, MP. And we will now, the door openers are extending the courtesy, and the Most Honorable Juliet Holness, MP, looking absolutely beautiful this morning in colors that represent who we are, representing who we are as a people and as a nation.
Yes.
Indeed. And they're making their way now to the monument to the Right Excellent George William Gordon. The Most Honorable Juliet Holness, MP, just paying tribute to the Right Excellent George William Gordon, and of course are just having conversations. And I'm sure it is about the relevance of today and how everything is unfolding beautifully. And Mrs. Holness will depart the National Heroes Park to make her way to King's House in just a short while. As we continue to highlight our national heroes, we now turn the spotlight really on George William Gordon. It was he who, at the time, urged the people to protest against and resist the oppressive and unjust conditions under which they were forced to live.
In a sense. And, you know, Mr. Atkinson, the letter that George William Gordon, Right Excellent George William Gordon, wrote an hour before he was executed is intact at the National Library of Jamaica. It begins, "My beloved Lucy, General Nelson has just been kind enough to inform me that the court-martial on Saturday last has ordered me to be hung."
And he was arrested and charged for complicity in what is now called the Morant Bay Rebellion in 1865.
Yes. And we encourage persons to go to the National Library and get a copy. See, I have a copy that I brought along. It's a very long letter, an hour before he was executed.
And it's very important for us to understand who we are as a people and those who really paved the way for us and for us to enjoy life as it is
And where he
now.
lived, Russell Heights,
Yes.
you know, Kingston.
Perhaps, partially, yes.
Russell Heights is now a private residence, but up to 1988, the house was still there intact, preserved, but the hurricane destroyed it. So Russell Heights.
Yes. I just want to bring to the attention of those who are listening and viewing that the monument, which is just in full view there, I'll get back to that. But we now have the arrival of the Senator, the Honorable Thomas Tavares Finson, or JCD, KC, JP, President of the Senate, and of course the President of the Senate will be this morning paying tribute to the monument of the Right Excellent Paul Bogle. As he exits that vehicle, he's greeted by both ministers, and he embraces the Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, as well as the Minister of Education. And he is also accompanied by Mrs. Tavares Finson as well. And he makes his way to the monument to the Right Excellent Paul Bogle. Mr. Crawford, it is said that poverty and injustice in society and the lack of public confidence in the central authority urged Bogle to lead a protest march to the Morant Bay Courthouse on October 11, 1865.
Indeed. But before that, remember that in a day he walked 80 miles from Stony Gut to Spanish Town to see the governor, but he was denied audience. 80 miles in search of justice.
In search of justice, indeed.
And the very step from which he was denied entry, that was where the Act for the Abolition of Slavery was read in 1838. The Institute has since put a plaque there to commemorate that event. So it behoves us to visit Spanish Town and look at those spaces and walk in Bogle's Right Excellent Bogle steps.
And it was in recognition of his efforts that Bogle was conferred with the Order of National Hero in 1969.
Yes.
And so the Senator the Honorable Thomas Tavares Finson and Mrs. Finson are now departing the National Heroes Park. Shortly we will be seeing the arrival of the Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Mark Golding, MP, and that will be followed by the arrival of the Prime Minister, the Most Honourable Andrew Holness, ONPC MP. The Governor General will be represented this morning by the Honorable Stedman Fuller, CDJP Costas of Kingston. And we will provide you with the information as the morning progresses. So back to the monument, Mr. Crawford. This is just one of the World War I monuments of Jamaica. And of course, 100 years ago, the world witnessed the end of one of the bloodiest military conflicts witnessed by mankind, or humankind, if you want to say that, known as the Great War, or World War I, 1914 to 1918. And over 1,000 Jamaican men participated in this war on the side of the victorious British Empire and her allies, including France, the United States, Belgium, and Italy, among others. And so, despite being on the side of the victors, just over 1,000 died, and while many others sustained physical and other forms of injury, the remains of those who perished were never returned home, and where they could be found were buried in places far away from Jamaica, such as Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East.
Yes.
And this aerial shot will perhaps just show that beautiful monument there in honor of those Jamaicans who actually not just represented us, but made the sacrifice for so many people across this world.
Yes. One Jamaican I recall who died there is a gentleman by the name of Maurice Wortley. And the Wortley home on Constant Spring Road for girls whose parents are not able to take care of them is to the honor of that gentleman.
Indeed.
He died in that war. His father was the rector at the cathedral in Spanish Town at the time.
Yeah. And the leader of the opposition, Mr. Mark Golding, MP, is now arriving. And he exits the vehicle and he will be greeted by Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, the Honorable Olivia Grange, OJCD, MP, and the Minister of Education, the Honorable Favour Williams. As always, Minister Grange is very a pleasant lady, and it is always a pleasure to have conversations with her. She actually makes you feel welcome at any time, no matter who you are. And as they move to the monument there to the Right Excellent Norman Washington Manley, they are reflecting indeed. Mr. Crawford, the Right Excellent Norman Washington Manley identified himself with the cause of the workers at the time of the labor troubles of 1938.
Indeed. But for your generation, in 1957, he introduced mass access to high schools through common entrance. And I like to bring it nearer home to say next time you're traveling to Mandeville, when you reach Porus, there's a little Methodist church in the corner there. That's where he was, as they say those days, christened baptized as a baby.
Indeed. So much information about who we are as a people and the things, the activities which took place back then. And of course, the leader of the opposition, Mr. Mark Golding, MP, is now departing the National Heroes Park, and he's also making his way to the lawns of King's House this morning. We are actually just to remind all those who are just joining us for the first time, and this is Salute to the Heroes, and we're live at the National Heroes Park. It is Monday, October 16, and today is Heroes Day. And what a great way to pay homage to those who really have paved the way. And we are seeing the Outriders and the Prime Minister of Jamaica, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, ONPC MP, and he will just lay his floral tribute there at the monument to the Right Excellent Alexander Bustamante. And the Prime Minister now exits his vehicle and is greeted by Minister Grange and Minister Williams. And the protocol officer from the JCDC is now indicating that it's time for them to lay their floral tribute. The Prime Minister, and of course time is of the essence and it means a lot to him. Very busy schedule as
Yes.
he now departs for the ceremony which will be held at the King's House, the National Honours and Awards, and he now leaves the National Heroes Park.
I wanted to say about Sir Alexander Bustamante, right, excellent. And we all benefited from that. That his government in 1948 donated 640 acres of land for the establishment of the University of the West Indies. I don't know if many persons are aware of this. And also the labor movement. There was a time when you worked and you didn't get the payment you bargained for.
Yes.
Take it or leave it. And he cut out that, elsewhere they say crap,
Yes.
and helped us.
And just adding to that, Bustamante was quick to realize that the social and economic ills that the Crown Colony system engendered had to be countered by mobilization of the working class.
Fabulous. People must be involved.
People must be involved indeed. And he became the first Prime Minister of independent Jamaica in 1962. Just to a bit of history there that perhaps we need to.
I knew two of the national heroes. I'm young enough to say that.
What was that experience like, knowing?
Well, it was really awesome. I was living in rural Jamaica, Moortown, and then you heard, said that they were coming, different times. The whole district, you ran out to meet them, and, they just were formed part of the group and socialized. But now, as adults, you realize the outstanding contributions that these people made to nation building, because it was not a part of our learning. It was not a part of our learning, and thank God we are meeting here today to learn this.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And we are actually, just to remind all those who are listening and viewing, that the members of the Jamaica Combined Cadet Force are the streetliners at the entrance and outer environs of the National Heroes Park, receiving all the officials and state and government this morning, and they will also stand at each shrine as sentry guards. And the members of the JCCF here this morning are representing various units across the island, all decked out. They're smartly attired in their #1 ceremonial uniform, blue tunic, black trouser, and that having blue stripes.
Wow.
There they are, well attired. Once again, if you're just tuning in, I would like to extend a warm welcome to you, those who are listening and watching at home and across the world. This is Salute to the Heroes at the National Heroes Park in Kingston, Jamaica. Today we pay homage to those who have received the nation's highest honor, the Order of National Hero. And the final floral tribute this morning will be done by the Honorable Stedman Fuller, CD J.P. Costas of Kingston. And the Honorable Costas is representing the Governor General of Jamaica, His Excellency, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen, ON, GCMG, CD, KSTJ. Floral tribute will be done at the monument to the Right Excellent Marcus Mosiah Garvey, Jamaica's first national hero. And the Honourable Stedman Fuller, CDJP, Costas of Kingston, representing the Governor General of Jamaica, the Most Honourable Sir Patrick Allen, ON, GCMG, CDKSTJ, will now depart the National Heroes Park. And of course, our host ministers this morning, Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, Olivia Grange, and the Minister of Education, the Honourable Favour Williams, will also depart the National Heroes Park shortly. They're now standing right there next to our first national hero to just for a photo opportunity. And when you hear Marcus Garvey, Mr. Crawford, what readily comes to mind?
That I was there in 1964.
1964.
For that ceremony.
Yes.
And also the reason why we're here today, that famous quotation A people without the knowledge of their past, history, and culture is like tree without roots.
It's like tree without roots indeed.
Yes, yes.
And how important that one quote really is as we identify as Jamaicans and as a people etched in history all over the world.
Don't wind me up. Because it's telling us,
Yes.
and you hit the nail on the head, that we should not embrace other people's culture.
Absolutely.
We have a story to tell. So don't go under the carpet.
Indeed.
Tell our story, as
And-
you do it so well.
And we should tell it well as well. In 1914, he started the Universal Negro Improvement Association, UNIA, in Jamaica. And the UNIA, which grew into an international organization, encouraged self-government for black people all over the world, self-help economic projects, and protest against racial discrimination. And he was conferred with the Order of National Hero in 1969. What a great morning this has been. Beautiful grounds of the National Heroes Park. Well kept. Well kept for a king. And it was fit for a king. Again, we're seeing the monument here. And do you know what the epitaph is? What does it read?
Well, you were sharing that earlier, so you want to share it now to the world, with the world?
We will share it with the world indeed. As a matter of fact, Mr. Crawford, before I do that, this particular space is so rich in history. And this is such a beautiful aerial shot of a section of the National Heroes Park. And we just move away from the monument there. And in memory of the men who fell in the Great War, their name liveth forevermore.
Yes.
Those are the words. And Mr. Crawford, thank you so much for being here with us
you,
this
Mr.
morning.
Atkinson.
And officials of state and government took the time this morning to salute the greatest names of this nation, our extraordinary men and women, our heroes and heroines. It was a pleasure to have come to you live from the National Heroes Park in Kingston, Jamaica, for Salute to the Heroes. Thanks to the Creative Production Training Center CPTC technical team here on location at the National Heroes Park. The National Salute to Our Heroes was produced by the Jamaica Cultural Development Commission, JCDC, an agency of the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport. We now join Stacey and Smith live on the lawns of King's House for the broadcast of the Ceremony of Investiture and Presentation of National Honors and Awards 2023. With over 200 men and women will be recognized this morning for their outstanding contribution to making Jamaica a better place. The ceremony will be presided over by the Governor-General, His Excellency, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen, ON, GCMG, CD, KSTJ. Happy Heroes Day, Jamaica.
It's Monday, October 16, 2023. Happy Heroes Day to all Jamaicans here and right across the world. I'm Stacey Ann Smith, your companion this morning here on the lawns of King's House for the 2023 National Honors and Awards, the ceremony of investiture and presentation, coming to you live here in Kingston, Jamaica. For the next 3 hours, it is my absolute pleasure to share with you the sights and sounds from this annual event that is set up to celebrate our Jamaican heroes. We will see and hear the stories of just over 200 recipients from various fields, professionals in several disciplines, uniformed groups, and an elite group of Jamaicans who will be recognized for gallantry. This year's list of honorees includes veteran politician and former government minister Audley Shaw, CD, international reggae singer Marcia Griffith, CD, the Venerable Archbishop Howard Gregory, head of the Anglican Church in Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, reggae artiste Omar Taurus Riley, accomplished journalist Earl Moxham, and a posthumous award for firefighter Lorenzo Dowse for gallantry. Overall, we'll have 5 individuals who will be conferred with the Order of Jamaica. 27 will receive the Order of Distinction in the rank of Commander. 36 individuals will receive the Order of Distinction in the rank of Officer. And in addition to the posthumous award given to firefighter Dowse, 2 civilians will receive the Badge of Honor for gallantry. 28 Jamaicans will receive the Badge of Honor for meritorious service. And 29 persons are down to get a Badge of Honor for long and faithful service. Thank you so much for joining us for this live outside broadcast, brought to you from King's House by the Jamaica Information Service and its partners, the CPTC, PBCJ, and the Jamaica Cultural Development Commission. We are coming to you live, of course, in collaboration with several free-to-air stations here in Jamaica. And for our Jamaicans overseas in the diaspora, we are streaming live on the JIS website. That's jis.gov.jm, and also on the agency's social media platform. Whether it's on TV or online, we are so happy that you took the time to join us here for this celebration of excellence. We are anticipating the arrival of the Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, as he makes his way from the National Heroes Park, where he has been paying tribute to our nation's heroes, and Governor General, His Excellency Sir Patrick Allen. We are standing by also for the arrival of the Governor General, and you will see what is going to be lots of pomp and circumstance this morning as we create a wonderful platform to celebrate excellence. We have, as I mentioned before, awards for 205 Jamaicans who have been giving outstanding service in one field or another, and it has given so much, they have given so much to their country, and it is so important for us as a nation to recognize and to celebrate excellence. Thank you so very much for joining us. You do see on your screen the Guard of Honor, which is furnished by the Combat Support Battalion. And that, of course, was the voice of the orator for this morning's proceedings, Ms. Faye Ellington, veteran broadcaster. And for the next few hours, you will be hearing her voice as well as mine. And we will be presenting to you this production. So, of course, as you are home and abroad, you can still feel a part of this amazing national celebration of excellence and service to Jamaica. You are, in fact, looking at the Guard of Honor furnished by the Combat Support Battalion of the Jamaica Regiment under the command this morning of Acting Commanding Officer Major Stephen Brown. The Guard of Honor is accompanied by the Jamaica Defence Force massed bands and the Jamaica Regiment Corps of Drums conducting Officer Warrant Officer Class 1 David Rattray, and the Director of Music is Lieutenant Rafael Salazar. The National Honors and Awards is, as I mentioned, an annual event and is made possible through the National Honors and Awards Act, which was promulgated on July 18 in 1969, making it possible for us to recognize Jamaicans who, by their service and contribution, have had a meaningful and significant impact on national life. Formal recognition of service to Jamaica and its citizens may be given by the conferment of the honor of one of the orders of 6 societies of honor established under the provisions of the Act, namely the Act of National Hero. And there are 7 members of that order. The Order of the Nation, usually conferred to Governors General and Prime Ministers. The Order of Excellence, which is the 3rd highest honor. The Order of Merit, the Order of Jamaica, and the Order of Distinction. And by the award of the Badge of Honor or the Medal of Honor. We expect the Prime Minister to arrive momentarily. If you were watching and listening for the last hour or so, you would have seen our nation's leaders at National Heroes Circle, at Heroes Park, paying tribute to our national heroes. And they are now...
The Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Mark Golding, Member of Parliament, has arrived.
And Mr. Golding is being guided and directed by the head of state protocol, and she's Ambassador Sandra Griffiths. And there you see the Leader of the Opposition greeting specially invited guests, ministers of government, and we are standing by for other arrivals so that we can get the proceedings underway. Once the Governor General arrives, he will inspect the Guard of Honor, and then it will be time to begin. If you just happen to be joining us, we are here live on the lawns of King's House for the 2023 ceremony of investiture and presentation of national honors and awards, brought to you by the hard-working production team of the Jamaica Information Service in collaboration with several other agencies and partners, chief among them the Creative Production and Training Center, the Public Broadcasting Corporation of Jamaica, and the Jamaica Cultural Development Commission. And every year these organizations come together and collaborate in order to present this very special event to you. I promise you it is a Herculean task to pull it all together, and it's one of those national events that requires great forward planning and preparation, and we are so proud to be able to present this broadcast to you. We do have almost a packed audience this morning with scores of family and friends, guests of the awardees. And I do see now that the Prime Minister,
The Prime
there
Minister,
you're
the Most
looking at-
Honourable Andrew Holness, now enters the ceremonial grounds. The Prime Minister will be escorted by the Chief of Defence Staff to the saluting dais, where he'll be accorded a general salute.
Now you see the Prime Minister going up to the presentation area. Accompanied by Rear Admiral Antoinette Weems Gorman, the Chief of Defence Staff. And that general salute that Faye Ellington referenced is underway now. And once that general salute is complete, the Prime Minister will take his place and await the arrival of the Governor General.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the Prime Minister, the Most Honourable Andrew Holness, a member of the Order of the Nation, Privy Councillor, and Member of Parliament.
The Prime Minister is greeting the guests and acknowledging members of his cabinet.
Please be seated.
We are awaiting the arrival now, momentarily, of the Governor General. And once he arrives, he will come into the ceremonial area, take his place on the dais, the presentation area, and will receive a royal salute, which is quite different from the general salute that was accorded to the Prime Minister. So the royal salute involves and includes the playing of the national anthem, and so you will hear the national anthem and notice on screen that there will be what is called the sweeping of the King's colours. And I'll have a little more information for you shortly on the King's colours. Always so wonderful to see our military, the Jamaica Defence Force, that Guard of Honour, really immaculately attired, dressed so brilliantly in that resplendent red, their formal uniforms, in that Guard of Honour. It is a very warm Monday morning here on Heroes Day at King's House. Lawns are immaculately done. We do see some persons trying to relieve a little bit of the heat. Here at King's House.
Ladies and gentlemen, Their Excellencies will arrive shortly.
And as we anticipate the arrival of the Governor General, just a little bit of history for you. The size of this property, King's House Lands, is approximately 100 acres. And King's House itself has 3 floors. Our current Governor General, Sir Patrick Linton Allen, has been Governor General of Jamaica since 2009. Born in the beautiful parish of Portland. And there we're looking at several of the guests who are here. I think the gentleman on the left of your screen is Dr. Barry Davidson. And we see the Governor General now making his way to the ceremonial grounds.
Please stand for the arrival of the Most Honorable Lady Allen.
Fanfare for the arrival of Lady Allen.
His Excellency the Governor General has arrived on the ceremonial grounds. His Excellency will be given a royal salute and will inspect the Guard of Honor. The Governor General is escorted to the dais by the Chief of Defence Staff, attended by Major S.A. Brown, Acting Commanding Officer, Combat Support Battalion, the Jamaica Regiment, and Captain Mario Sahadio, Aide-de-camp to the Governor General.
Rear Admiral Weems Gorman escorting the Governor General to the presentation area. And we see the Guard of Honor there. Their commander, Major Caron Fairman Speed, approaching the Governor General with an invitation to inspect the Guard of Honor. He says, "Your Excellency, the Guard of Honor, furnished by the Jamaica Regiment in open order with bayonets fixed, awaiting your inspection, sir."
And now the Governor General will inspect the Guard of Honor. Please be seated. The selection you'll hear while the Governor General inspects the Guard of Honor is Lignum Vitae, arranged by Major Retired Joseph Williams.
And I'm hoping you can hear the strains of that beautiful piece of music arranged by Major Williams. Lignum Vitae is one of those traditional pieces performed by the JDF massed bands for ceremonial events such as this one. The JDF massed bands is conducted by Lieutenant Rafael Salazar, the Director of Music of the Jamaica Defense Force, alongside Warrant Officer 1 Johnson, Bandmaster of the Jamaica Military Band, and Drum Major Warrant Officer 2 Dawkins, who are leading this morning. Beautiful shot there of the Governor General as he inspects the Guard of Honor. Once that inspection is complete, the Guard of Honor will give the Governor General another royal salute, following which the Governor General will move into position for the start of these proceedings, the official start of these proceedings.
Please stand, ladies and gentlemen.
And on screen you see those two members of the Guard of Honor with what are referred to as the colors. The one on the left of your screen just now being the King's colors, which looks a little like the Jamaican flag because it incorporates the Jamaican flag.
Ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency, the Governor General, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen, Member of the Order of the Nation, Knight, Grand Cross of the Most Distinguished Order of St. Michael and St. George, Commander of the Order of Distinction, Knight of Grace of the Most Venerable Order of the Hospital of St. John of Jerusalem. Please be seated.
There are 205 Jamaicans who will be receiving national honors this morning. A total of 124 civil honors and 78 medals of honor. Five of those civil honors will be given to the Jamaicans who are conferred with the Order of Jamaica, the Order of Distinction, Commander, 27 recipients this morning, and 36 recipients of the Order of Distinction in the officer class. We will have 2 civilians who will receive the Badge of Honor for Gallantry. 28 recipients of the Badge of Honor for Meritorious Service, and 29 civilians who will receive the Badge of Honor for long service. And now we see the Guard of Honor leaving the ceremonial grounds to the music of Colonel Bogey, arranged by Major Alford. JDF Massed Band under the command of Warrant Officer 1 Johnson, Bandmaster of the Jamaica Military Band. Director of Music, Lieutenant Rafael Salazar. Among the awardees this morning, 78 uniformed groups, 78 members rather of uniformed groups, the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the Department of Correctional Services, and the Jamaica Fire Brigade.
His Excellency the Governor General, acting in accordance with the provisions of the National Honors and Awards Act, has been pleased, on the advice of the Prime Minister, to give orders for the conferment of the Order of Jamaica upon the following persons with effect from the 6th day of August, 2023. For appointment as a member of the Order of Jamaica, the Most Reverend Howard Kingsley Ainsworth Gregory, for service in the field of religion.
Reverend Howard Gregory was consecrated as the 14th Bishop of Jamaica and the Cayman Islands in May 2012. He is the first Jamaican to serve as Archbishop of the West Indies. He has given outstanding service to the Anglican Church in Jamaica since his ordination as a deacon in 1973 and a priest in 1974. Over the years, he served as chaplain at the University of the West Indies, Mona, president of the United Theological College of the West Indies, and a member of the faculty for more than 22 years. He was also suffragan bishop of Montego Bay in 2002 where he served for 10 years.
Miss Marcia Lynette May Griffiths, Commander of Distinction for sterling contribution to reggae music locally and internationally.
At 73 years old, Marcia Griffiths continues to perform ceaselessly. And you can hear from the rousing round of applause that she continues to be the queen of Jamaican music, the queen of reggae music, and one of the longest and most consistently working artists in the history of Jamaican music. Her career spans approximately 60 years. She started singing professionally as a vocalist in 1964 for Byron Lee and the Dragonaires. Her first recorded hit was Feel Like Jumping. And we also know Ms. Griffiths as a member of the I-Three's backup singers for reggae superstar Bob Marley and the Wailers.
Mr. Charles Henry Alfred Johnston, Commander of Distinction for outstanding contribution to Jamaica's shipping and logistics industry.
Charles Johnson has dedicated over 55 years of service to Jamaica's shipping industry, a sector that is critical to the country's continued growth and development. He was integral to the expansion of the Port Authority of Jamaica, the transformation of Jamaica Customs, and the Maritime Authority of Jamaica during its emergence as a national maritime regulator.
Mr. Paul Barnaby P.B. Scott, Commander of Distinction for exceptional contribution to the business industry, investment, and philanthropy in Jamaica and the Caribbean.
P.B. Scott has been a successful Jamaican entrepreneur for over 3 decades. He's credited with leading Musson's expansion from a wholesale food distribution and manufacturing business in Jamaica into a geographically diversified company with interests in areas such as information technology, food and pharmaceutical distribution, and insurance.
Mr. Audley Fitz Albert Shaw, Commander of Distinction and Member of Parliament for sterling contribution to political administration in Jamaica.
Audley Shaw has served as Senator, Member of Parliament and Cabinet Minister. He was Minister of Finance and Planning, Minister of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, with his last appointment being Minister of Transport and Mining. In 2017, he was named Regional Finance Minister of the Year for the Caribbean by Global Markets and Man of the Year Award by the Jamaica Observer.
We salute our new members of the Order of Jamaica. And now to this year's recipients in the category of Order of Distinction. The Order of Distinction in the rank of Commander. His Excellency the Governor General, acting in accordance with the provisions of the National Honors and Awards Act, has been pleased, on the advice of the Prime Minister, to give orders for the conferment of the Order of Distinction upon the following persons with effect from the 6th day of August 2023. For appointment as members of the Order of Distinction in the rank of Commander. Mr. Norman Oliver de Cordova Brown, for contribution to public service.
And you're seeing Mr. Brown there, who has already received his honor, who gave more than
Mr.
20
Clyde
years of
DJ
service.
Cool Herc Campbell, for contribution to the international recognition of the reggae DJ music genre and for pioneering the hip-hop music genre. Mr. Hugh Michael will collect.
Clive Campbell is widely recognized as the founder and godfather of hip-hop music.
Mr. Sing Solom Chin for contribution to the business and economic development of Jamaica.
Sing Sun Ching is currently the managing director of Progressive Grocers Jamaica, the largest retail supermarket chain in the island with 22 stores. He joined 3 of his friends to form the company in 1999. He has provided employment to hundreds of Jamaicans through his various businesses, including Super Value Supermarket, Manapak Pharmacy, and Super Value Home Center.
Mrs. Shernette Marie Crichton for contribution to the tourism and hospitality sector.
Shernette Crichton has a long and impactful tenure in the hospitality and tourism industry. She has served more than 30 years at one of Jamaica's highest rated resorts, the Half Moon Hotel in Montego Bay.
Professor Newton Dillon Duncan for long and distinguished service in the field of medicine, specifically pediatric surgery.
Professor Duncan has made an indelible contribution to medical research as an administrator in the Faculty of Medical Science at the University of the West Indies.
The Honourable Mrs. Justice Marcia Villetta Dunbar Green for outstanding service to the judiciary of Jamaica.
The Honourable Mrs. Justice Green currently serves as a Judge of Appeal in the Court of Appeal. She was appointed in 2021. She was called to the bar in 1995 and has since served with distinction, first in the Attorney General's chambers for 5 years before being appointed in St. Catharines.
Mr. Johan Yanni Gordon Epstein for contribution to the business processing outsourcing sector in Jamaica.
Mr. Epstein is the founding chairman and chief executive officer of the Caribbean's largest homegrown customer experience provider, ITEL.
Mr. Patrick Windsor Foster, King's Counsel for contribution to public service and law.
Patrick Foster was called to the bar in 1982. His legal career started at the Ministry of Construction and Housing, where he worked as a legal officer.
Mr. Garth Justin Gale, Justice of the Peace, for contribution to the field of sports locally and internationally.
Mr. Gale has contributed significantly to the growth and development of sports in Jamaica, especially in the field of athletics. He's the current president of the J3As.
The Honourable Mr. Justice Martin Luther Gale for contribution to the development of the judiciary of Jamaica.
The Honourable Mr. Justice Martin Gale has given long and distinguished service to Jamaica's legal fraternity. He began his judicial career in 1998 as a resident magistrate. In 2005, he joined the Supreme Court as an acting puisne judge.
Mr. K. Neville Garrick for contribution to Jamaica's music, art and culture locally and internationally. The award will be received by his daughter, Naomi Garrick.
Neville Garrick is a Jamaican graphic artist and visual designer and is best known for his creation of music album covers, posters. He produced more than 100 album cover designs for some of Jamaica's
Mrs.
biggest
M.
music
Georgia Gibson
artists.
Henlin, King's Counsel, for contribution to the legal profession and to the public service.
Mrs. Henlin has made significant impact in the legal field, having been a part of several landmark cases including the William Clark versus Bank of Nova Scotia Jamaica Limited in 2009.
The Honourable Mrs. Justice Vivienne Juliet Harris for outstanding service to the judiciary of Jamaica.
Justice Harris is a Judge of Appeal in the Court of Appeal of Jamaica. She has contributed significantly to the judiciary of this country, providing sterling service in various capacities since 1992.
Mr. Christopher Charles Jarrett for contribution to the tourism and hospitality sector.
Mr. Jarrett has dedicated over 35 years to the tourism and hospitality industry. He's currently the Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director at the Altamont Hotels Group and a certified chef, hospitality trainer and lifeguard.
Mr. Ian Cuthbert Kelly for entrepreneurship and for social and community service fostering national development.
Mr. Kelly has made significant contribution to the banking and financial sectors in Jamaica. Under his leadership, Derrimon Trading has successfully restructured and reorganized its
Mr.
operations.
Victor Alberga Lowe for service in the fields of telecommunications, philanthropy and entrepreneurship.
Mr. Lowe is the executive chairman of Global Capital Limited and has a keen interest in telecommunications. He owned the first international telecoms license that broke the monopoly of cable and wireless in Jamaica.
Mr. Andrew John Mafood for contribution to the manufacturing and the distribution sector.
Andrew Mafood is a pioneer in food distribution in Jamaica. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Wisynco Group Limited and Chairman of Food for the Poor Jamaica.
Professor Bertram Lloyd Melbourne for outstanding contributions in the field of education, mentorship, community service, and to the Jamaican Embassy in Washington, D.C., United States of America.
Professor Melbourne is a professor of biblical language and literature and the interim associate dean for academic affairs at Howard University School of Divinity in Washington.
Mr. Mark George Rothney Myers for contribution in business development, philanthropy, and community development.
Mr. Myers is currently the managing director of Restaurants of Jamaica Limited, the operators of KFC and Pizza Hut restaurants in Jamaica.
Dr. Asburn Rupert Pinnock, Justice of the Peace, for contribution to the field of academia.
Dr. Pinnock has been serving the education sector with distinction for more than 35 years. He's president of the Mico University College in Kingston, a position he has held since 2015.
The Honourable Mr. Justice Bruce Andrew Rattray for contribution to the development of the judiciary of Jamaica. The award will be received by his son, Adam Rattray.
The Honourable Justice Rattray has served the judiciary of Jamaica with distinction, dedicating 22 years of service as a puisne judge in the Supreme Court of Jamaica. The award there being received by his son.
Mrs. Colette K. Roberts Risden for outstanding contribution to the public service.
Ms. Risden is the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Labour and Social Security. She has been a civil servant since 1993 when she joined the Statistical Institute of Jamaica as a cartographer with a commitment to providing mapping solutions to improve the social fabric of vulnerable and volatile communities.
Bishop Dr. James Alfonso Robinson for contribution to the Jamaican diaspora in Toronto in the areas of religion, civic advocacy, and counseling.
Bishop Robinson is a Jamaican who migrated to Canada in 1987, renowned for his contribution to various ministries and communities across the Greater Toronto area and in Jamaica.
Mr. Cyril Aston Shaw for contribution to the construction industry.
Mr. Shaw has been serving in this industry for more than 50 years. He is Chief Inspector, Resident Engineer and Project Manager at the ATOS, that's ADEB Consultants Limited, for the past 43 years.
Dr. Edwin Edward Tullow Reid for service in the field of medicine, specializing in cardiovascular disease.
Dr. Tullow Reid has over 30 years of distinguished service in the field of medicine. He has been at the forefront of advancements in cardiology for more than 25 years now.
Professor Lloyd George Waller for contribution to global tourism, resilience, and governance.
Professor Waller has played a pivotal role in enhancing Jamaica's tourism product. His extensive scholarly work has helped to position the country as a global intellect hub for tourism and tourism resilience.
And now an honorary. Mr. Albert James Dwowskin for contribution to the economic development of Jamaica and philanthropy.
Mr. Dwalskin is President and Chief Executive Officer of a large real estate development and management company in the United States. Over the years of his association with Jamaica, he has coordinated introductions of U.S. and Jamaican officials and enhanced commercial ties.
Thank you, Governor General. It is my pleasure to introduce our first performing artist, Sharita. Sharita is an outstanding vocalist and songwriter who's worked to international acclaim with an impressive catalog of headliners: Damien, Junior Gong Marley, Gentleman, Taurus Riley, and Agent Sasko, to name a few. Sharita made her transition into the spotlight as a solo artist in 2019 with a release of her EP, Conversations in Key. She's known for her distinctive style, and she is described as exotique soul. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sharita performing Pass It On by Bob Marley and the Wailers.
Good morning, everyone. What your hands do, it's your own eyes that have seen. So why not judge your actions to make sure the results are clean? It's your own conscience that is gonna remind you that it's your heart and no one else's that is gonna judge. Be not selfish in your doings. Pass it on, children, pass it on. Help your brothers in their needs. Pass it on. Live for yourself. For others, you live again. In the kingdom of Jah, we shall reign. Pass it on, children, pass it on. Give it, pass it on. Won't you pass it on? What's in the darkness judge what's good from bad, but to do the things that are right. On a hot sunny day, under the shadows for rescue. But as the day grows old, I know so the sun's gonna find to be not selfish in your doings. Oh, pass it on, pass it, pass it. Oh, help your sisters in their need. Pass it on. Live for yourself. In you will live in vain. If you live for others, you will live again. In the kingdom of Jah, we shall reign. Yes, pass it on. Oh, won't you pass it on? Give it up and pass it on. Keep on giving, pass it on. Give some love and pass it on. Oh, love your brother and pass it on. Oh, love your sister and pass it on. Keep giving, just pass it on. 'Cause the more you give to life, is the more you're gonna get from life. So go on and give. Don't count the cost, or your soul may be lost.
Thank you, Sharita.
A really beautiful performance there by Sharita, singer, songwriter, and producer. Performing Pass It On by the Wailers. And the respective teams are moving back into position for the continuation of this morning's
His Excellency the
proceedings.
Governor General, acting in accordance with the provisions of the National Honours and Awards Act, has been pleased, on the advice of the Prime Minister, to give orders for the conferment of the Order of Distinction upon the following persons with effect from the 6th day of August, 2023. For appointment as members of the Order of Distinction in the rank of officer. Professor Marilyn Jane Anderson for service in the field of academia.
Professor Anderson is an astute educator and accomplished musician who has served in various capacities at the Northern Caribbean University. She served as interim president and remains the only
Mrs.
female
Dawn
to have
Genevieve
done so.
Azan, Justice of the Peace, for contribution in the field of entrepreneurship.
Mrs. Azan is a trailblazer among small business operators in Jamaica. Her entrepreneurship journey began with a small sewing operation in 1961.
Deaconess Marcia Bernard for contribution to the promotion of diaspora affairs in France and for philanthropy.
Deaconess Bernard founded the Jamaican Diaspora in France Association in 2019 and continues to serve as the association's president.
Professor Marilyn Jane Anderson for service in the field of academia.
So now we're actually seeing Professor Anderson on screen.
Dr. Robert Anthony Clark for contribution in the field of medicine and for philanthropy.
During the COVID-19 pandemic, Dr. Clark worked alongside the Jamaican consulate in the U.S. and played a critical role in securing medication for Jamaicans who encountered shortages or exhausted supplies while waiting to return to Jamaica.
Mrs. Michelle Ann Chong for service in the field of entrepreneurship and for philanthropy.
Michelle Chong is co-founder of Honeybun Limited. She has dedicated over 40 years to the success of that thriving business and credited with leading the growth of the business to where it is
Mrs.
now.
Diana Fredericks for contribution to the development of the business of art and artists in Jamaica.
Diana Fredericks owned and operated Haiko Art and Framing Gallery from 1980 until her retirement in 2017.
Mr. O'Neill Wilton Grant for service to the trade union movement and the public service.
O'Neill Grant is the immediate past president of the Jamaica Civil Service Association, the largest public sector union in the English-speaking Caribbean.
Mr. Arthur Richard Hall for service in the field of journalism.
For 32 years, Arthur
Ricardo
honed
Hall.
his craft in the field of journalism. One of his most outstanding achievements is his coordination of election coverage for every media house where he has worked.
Ms. Justine Hensel for contribution to the film and television industry in Jamaica and the literary arts.
Justine Hensel is a successful freelance film producer who has also directed 2 feature-length documentaries highlighting the history of Jamaica. Also very famous for the much-acclaimed Calabash International Literary
Ms.
Festival.
Carmen Lynn Johnson for service in the field of nursing.
Carmen Johnson is a Director of Nursing Services at the St. Anne's Bay Regional Hospital. She served as President of the Nurses Association of Jamaica from 2017 to 2020.
Mrs. Prudence Alethea Kidd Deans for contribution to public service and civic development.
Mrs. Kidd Deans was a special advisor to former Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Edward Seaga, a former member of the Senate and Deputy General Secretary for the Jamaica Labour Party.
Mr. Max O'Neill Leiber, Justice of the Peace for community development and philanthropy.
Max Leiber celebrates his 58th birthday today and is proud of his service to his community.
Mr. David Cameron Mays for contribution to the development of sports, education, and community development.
David Mays is a strong proponent of the role that sports and associated training programs can play in enhancing the lives of inner city youth and community development.
Dr. Lee Marville Martin, Justice of the Peace for contribution in the field of medicine and philanthropy.
Dr. Martin rose from humble beginnings in Western Kingston to be a Fellow of the Royal College of Surgeons in Edinburgh.
Lieutenant Colonel retired Euken Corinthian Mills for service to the Jamaica Defence Force.
Lieutenant Colonel Mills gave 33 years of dedicated service to the JDF until his retirement in May 2012. He's a Justice of the Peace for the parish of Kingston.
Mrs. Yvonne Louisa Miller Wisdom for contribution to education and school administration.
Mrs. Miller Wisdom is currently the principal of John Rawlings Success Primary School in St. James. In November 2020, she conceptualized and implemented the Maslow Before
Mr.
Blooms
Wayne
Foundation.
Omar Marshall Mitchell for contribution to the field of entertainment, in particular reggae music.
Wayne Mitchell is a multi-talented Jamaican artist who has made significant contribution to the realms of dancehall music and content creation.
Dr. Una Lorraine Morris for contribution to sports, in particular track and field.
Dr. Morris is a retired Jamaican Olympian, radiologist and restaurateur. She participated in the 1964, 1968 and 1972 Olympics.
Mr. Earl Aaron Moxham for service in the field of media and communication.
Earl Moxham is a highly acclaimed journalist who has spent the past 30 years covering Parliament, politics, industrial relations, international trade and a range of other issues. He is also
Professor
an
Alison
author.
M. Nicholson for service in the field of microbiology and infection prevention and control.
Professor Alison Nicholson is a consultant microbiologist and infection prevention and control doctor at the University Hospital of the West Indies.
Ms. Paulette Miranda Palmer for over 35 years of contribution to maternal health international studies as a research coordinator.
In her work as research coordinator of maternal and child health international studies,
Mr.
Ms.
Clifton
Palmer
George Reeder, Justice of the Peace, for contribution to the development of tourism in Jamaica.
Mr. Reeder is managing director of the Moon Palace Resorts in Ocho Rios, a champion for staff development and providing training and support.
Mrs. Arlene Richards Barr for contribution in the field of aviation locally and internationally.
Mrs. Richards Barr has worked tirelessly to highlight Jamaica's business interests in the city of Atlanta. She's facilitated displays to promote Jamaica and the Jamaican experience through the Atlanta Airport facility.
Ms. Sandra Patricia Raty for contribution to sports, in particular table tennis and the development of young athletes.
Sandra Raty has made consistent and sterling contribution to the development and promotion of table tennis in Jamaica and across the Caribbean region.
Mr. Omar Ruben Taros Riley for contribution to reggae music entertainment locally and internationally.
Taurus Riley made his recording debut as a teenager and has since been making significant contribution to the music industry, racking up awards for his work. His hit, She's Royal, is one of the most popular.
Ms. Valerie Patricia Roper for contribution to education.
Ms. Valerie Roper served the education sector for over 30 years, making thousands of students fall in love with English language and literature. After graduating from Shortwood Teachers College in 1957, she taught in the
Ms.
primary
Dorian
school system in
Annette
Jamaica.
Rowan Campbell for service in the fields of gender equity and organic farming in Jamaica, the Caribbean, and the British Commonwealth.
Jamaican-Canadian Dorian Rowan Campbell has served as Director of Women and Development in the British Commonwealth Secretariat from 1980 to 1987.
Mr. Lenford Joseph Salmon for contribution to Jamaica's arts and culture, in particular the production of national events.
The newly appointed Executive Director of the JCDC, Mr. Salmon, has been working in Jamaican theatre and television for more than 25 years.
Mr. Donald Earl Smith, Justice of the Peace, for contribution to the development of tourism in Jamaica. The award will be received by his son, Mr. Donald Smith.
Donald Smith is now serving in his 42nd year in the tourism sector.
Dr. Gregory Thomas for service in the field of medicine and public health.
Dr. Thomas has over 30 years of service in the fields of medicine and public service. He has worked in various roles across the Western Regional Health Authority of the
Ms.
Ministry.
Natalie Grace Thompson for contribution to the development of the Jamaican film and television industry for over 50 years.
She is an outstanding member of the film industry in Jamaica.
Mrs. Maria Andrea Thompson Walters for service in the field of human resource management and public service transformation.
Maria Walters is Executive Director of the Transformation Implementation Unit.
Mr. Gordon Townsend for contribution to tourism in the area of destination management.
Gordon Townsend is founder of Knutsford Express, a luxury passenger and courier transportation company offering scheduled services from locations on Jamaica's north and south coasts, including connections to Portland, St. Mary and Negril.
Colonel Mahatma Ernest Williams, Justice of the Peace, for service to the Jamaica Defense Force.
Colonel Williams has served the JDF with distinction for over 29 years. He's currently Brigade Commander of the Jamaica Regiment.
Mr. Frederick Ralston White, for 40 years of outstanding contribution to the Jamaica Fire Brigade.
Frederick White, a native of Cooling Spring in Portland, gave 40 years of unbroken service to the JFB before retiring in 2007.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Congratulations to our members of the Order of Distinction in the ranks of Commander and Officer. The next series of awards will be made to the recipients of the Badges of Honor. But first, another much anticipated performance. I now introduce you to Miss Ngozi Wright. Ngozi is a JCDC multi-gold winning performer who first came to national prominence when she addressed the Parliament of Jamaica at the age of 7 years old. She has performed at many national events. Her elevated standard as an elocutionist with a focus on dub poetry, prose, and poetry is well known. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Ngozi with a dub poetry offering, Heroes Medley. Please welcome her.
Fierce dripping sweat be a rebellion. Future ahead of me, back against the wall. 3,000 voices shouting, onward, brother Paul. Every black girl can win. Garvey, every black boy is a king. Garvey, your skin is not a sin. Garvey, love the skin that you're in. Garvey, every black girl can win. Garvey, every black boy is a king. Garvey, your skin is not a sin. Garvey, love the skin that you're in. Garvey, this is the land of kings and queens. Jamaicans must reign supreme. One love, one heart, united in a dream, working together as a team. Scientists claim it's a mystery, fastest human in a history. If a reggae music or blaze in the track, salute the green, the gold and the black. If a reggae music or blaze in the track, salute the green, the gold and the black. Every black girl can win. Garvey, every black boy is a king. Garvey, your skin is not a sin. Garvey, love the skin that you're in. Garvey, every black girl can win. Garvey, every black boy is a king. Garvey, your skin is not a sin. Garvey, love the skin that you're in. Garvey, fierce dripping sweat, green like scallion. 1865, Murad be a rebellion. Future ahead of me, back against the wall. 3,000 voices shouting, onward, brother Paul.
Thank you so much, Ngozi, and thanks to your dad for accompanying you on drum.
Such a talented young lady. A real crowd pleaser this morning here at the 2023 National Honors and Awards Ceremony of Investiture and Presentations. We now go into the next set of honors. The Badge of Honor for Gallantry is coming up next.
His Excellency the Governor General, acting in accordance with the provisions of the National Honors and Awards Act, has been pleased, on the advice of the Prime Minister, to award the Badge of Honor to the following persons with effect from the 6th day of August, 2023. The Badge of Honor for Gallantry. Mr. Ruel Oliver Grant, in the face of grave danger, saving the lives of 4 females from a burning motor vehicle that exploded minutes later.
Mr. Grant is one of 2 men who assisted with the rescue of those 4 women after a motor vehicle accident on April 8 last year on the Rowlandsfield Main Road in St. Thomas.
York Angelo Nugent, in the face of grave danger, saving the lives of 4 females from a burning motor vehicle that exploded minutes later.
And Keith Nugent was the second of the 2 men who assisted with the rescue of those women on the Rowlandsfield Main Road.
We applaud the acts of gallantry of these awardees, even as we welcome to the presentation platform the recipients of recognition for meritorious service. The presentation of the Badge of Honor for Meritorious Service, Mrs. Casilda Allen, for meritorious service to education and community development.
Casilda Allen has served the public sector for 28 years as a teacher. During her career, she taught at the infant, primary and all-age levels at 4 institutions in St. Mary.
Bailey, for meritorious service in the tourism and hospitality industries.
Charmaine Bailey has been a stalwart in the tourism industry, contributing 38 years of unbroken service in the sector.
Dr. Margaret Henrietta Bailey for meritorious service to education and community development.
For more than 4 decades, Dr. Bailey has dedicated her life to ensuring that the nation's children are not left behind academically.
Ms. Karen P. Barnes for contribution to the public service in the area of public prosecution.
Karen Barnes has served for 32 years at the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. Her long and illustrious career has spanned the administrations of 3 directors of public prosecution.
Mrs. Winnie Anne Marie Berry, Justice of the Peace for meritorious service in the field of education.
Mrs. Berry has been serving the education sector with distinction for over 37 years. Her current role is Interim Director Principal of the National College for Educational Leadership.
Mrs. Julia Eleanor Bonner Duet for contribution in the field of standardization at the Bureau of Standards of Jamaica.
Mrs. Duet is Director of the Standards Division of the Bureau of Standards. She has over 25 years of experience in the field of standardization.
Mr. Dwayne Omar Campbell for service to the Jamaica Urban Transit Company, JUTC.
Mr. Campbell has been serving in the public sector for more than 23 years as a driver at the JUTC. Described as responsible, always going the extra mile to ensure the safety of his passengers.
Ms. Laverna Dalton Campbell for meritorious service in the field of nursing.
Ms. Campbell is a retired registered general nurse who served the health sector for 37 years. She was staff nurse at various hospitals across the island and later served as Deputy Director of Nursing from 2011 to 2021.
Mrs. Lurleen Winifred Lilith Christian for service in the field of music.
Mrs. Christian is a talented musician who served the University of the West Indies, Mona, in the capacity of organist and pianist for over 20 years. She has also adjudicated for the Jamaica Cultural Development Commission in the area of music for their festival competition. She was a music teacher for over 30 years and taught music to numerous persons without compensation. A proud graduate of the Westwood High School in Trelawney. And we see the Governor General there having quite the chat with Mrs. Lurleen Winifred Lilith Christian, who is receiving a badge of honor for meritorious service for her work in the field of music. A talented musician who served for many, many decades. All right. And now we have that insignia being applied, and with a handshake, they will escort Mrs. Christian off that platform.
Ms. Tiffany Christina Edwards for service beyond duty as a member of the staff of the University Hospital of the West Indies.
Ms. Edwards wears the lab coat of a phlebotomist on most days, but on the morning of February 9, 2022, she donned the cap of a hero.
Mrs. Colleen Marcia Hope Henry for contribution to public service in the area of science and technology.
Colleen Henry has dedicated over 3 decades of stellar service to the Scientific Research Council, the SRC.
Ms. Bulette Carol Hunter, Justice of the Peace, for service to education and uniformed youth groups in schools and communities.
Ms. Hunter is a dedicated Seventh-day Adventist and has spent most of her career shaping the lives of thousands of young people through her work with uniformed groups in schools and in communities.
Mrs. Claudette Adasa Genus, Justice of the Peace, for commendable community service through the East Jamaica Conference of Seventh-day Adventists.
Claudette Genus has centered her life on service through the various ministries she has founded in her church.
Mr. Clement A. Rasclem Hume, for service to the Jamaican diaspora in the United States of America.
Mr. Hume has kept Jamaicans connected for over 15 years through his passion for media.
Ms. Karen Natalie Johnson, for contribution to the public service at the St. Mary Parish Court.
Ms. Karen Johnson has demonstrated selflessness at the highest level, transcending her role as court administrator at the St. Mary Parish Court.
Reverend Patrick Anthony Jordan, Justice of the Peace, for religion, volunteerism, and community development.
Over the years, Reverend Jordan has uplifted the less fortunate in the communities of St. Andrew South through his voluntary work and pastoring.
Major Sheelin Persephone Mania, Justice of the Peace, for commendable service to the Jamaica Combined Cadet Force for over 40 years.
Major Mania remains ready to lend her talents and time to helping youth become the best versions of themselves.
Ms. Jewel Elizabeth Williams Plummer, for contribution to the public service in the area of public prosecution.
Jewel Plummer is the epitome of quiet consistency and dedication. She has spent more than 40 years in the office of the DPP as a secretary.
Mrs. Lorna Eugenie Rampasad, Justice of the Peace, for meritorious service to education, youth, and community development.
For over 4 decades, Mrs. Rampasad has shaped the lives of the young men at Cornwall College in St. James. She served as an English teacher, guidance counselor, and vice principal at the school.
Mr. Adolph Augustus Robb, for meritorious service to the education sector as a mathematics teacher.
For Adolph Robb, teaching was and remains a calling. He spent nearly 50 years in the profession as a teacher of industrial arts and mathematics. He's taught at Tacky High, Brownstown High, and Thompsontown High schools, where he was a vice principal as well.
Reverend Mr. Maurice C. Saunders, for contribution to legal education and the legal system. The award will be received by his son, Mr. Andrew Saunders.
Maurice Saunders is a member of the first cohort of Commonwealth Caribbean training lawyers. For over 30 years, he has been preparing the future of Jamaica's legal fraternity. He spent his career championing the cause of the legal aid system in Jamaica.
For meritorious service as an air traffic controller and special projects officer at the Jamaica Civil Aviation Authority.
Orville Shaw was instrumental in the development and training of many of Jamaica's air traffic controllers, serving for over 40 years.
Ms. Roxanne Marie Silent, for meritorious service to the National Gallery of Jamaica.
Ms. Silent has remained dedicated to the effort of preserving and protecting the country's art and culture for almost 3 decades. She is the current Senior Director of the National Gallery of Jamaica.
Ms. Norma Simmons, for community development and work in the field of autism.
Norma Simmons is a director of the Baby Orphan Foundation, which has worked tirelessly to help the less fortunate and disabled for the past 16 years. She has shown great determination to go above and beyond to help those who are in need, contributing to the Windsor School of Education, Maypen Infirmary and Maypen Hospital.
Mr. John Stephen Taylor, for commendable service to the Westwood High School for Girls.
Mr. Taylor's quick thinking and bravery averted what could have been two catastrophic incidents at the Westwood High School for Girls. One in May 2017 and another 6 years before
Lieutenant
that.
Colonel Blondell Sylvan Thomas for commendable service to the Jamaica Combined Cadet Force for over 44 years.
Lieutenant Colonel Thomas is a retired educator who has worked with passion and care to combat the antisocial and deviant behavior of children by helping to mold them into model citizens.
Councillor Teresa May Turner Flynn, Justice of the Peace, for contribution to local government administration as a dedicated councillor in the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation.
Councillor Turner Flynn's passion for service propelled her to be elected as councillor for the Hampton Green Division in 2003.
Honorary, Mr. Rafaelita Crescencio Hito, who will not be attending, but for service as an honorary council and to the Jamaican diaspora in Curacao. And now the badge of honor for long and faithful service. Mrs. Joyette Novlet Beach, Justice of the Peace, for 43 years of service in the field of health and wellness as a pharmacist.
Mrs. Beach has spent most of her 43 years in primary care as a parish pharmacist. She is a trained preceptor in the Howard University
Mr.
Caribbean
Melton
Clinical
Augustus
Preceptor Program
Vasco,
for HIV
for dedicated
patients.
public service for 42 years.
Mr. Basco's story is one of consistent and committed service. His role at the Ocho Commercial Center Limited, a subsidiary of the UDC, contributes to the functioning
Ms.
of the
Nellie
organization.
Verona Brown for over 45 years of service in the field of education.
Ms. Brown is from the parish of Trelawney. She started in the profession as a teacher and has dedicated her career to transforming the lives of the nation's children. She was also an active member of her community. She is recipient of the Golden Torch Award from the Ministry of Education for her service to teaching and is also an active member of the William Knibb Memorial Baptist Church for 50 years.
Ms. Pamela Marie Chuck for 39 years of service to the Jamaica Civil Aviation Authority in the area of administration.
Pamela Chuck joined the Jamaica Civil Aviation Authority in 1980. Now retired, this administrator displayed professionalism and dedication in her years of service.
Mrs. Brenda V. Cuthbert, Justice of the Peace, for contribution to the growth and development of the credit union movement in Jamaica and the Jamaica Employers Federation for over 50 years.
Mrs. Cuthbert served as CEO of the Jamaica Employers Federation, where she helped to enhance relationships with member companies through training and consulting.
Woman District Constable Paulette Dorona Ellison for sterling service of 36 years as a District Constable in the St. Catherine North Division.
Woman District Constable Ellison hails from the parish of Clarendon and was appointed to the Spanish Town Police Station in the St. Catherine North Division in 1986.
District Constable Denovan Evans for sterling service of 37 years as a District Constable in the St. Catherine North Division.
District Constable Evans has been a faithful servant of the JCF since 1986. He has given unbroken service.
Mrs. Margaret George, Justice of the Peace, for 44 years of service to education and community service.
A heart for service and a passion for education best describe Mrs. Margaret George. She first started teaching in her teens and continued until her retirement in 2014.
Mr. Gallo, who will not be attending, for 40 years of service to the Jamaica Civil Aviation Authority as an Aeronautical Information Services Officer. Mr. Edgerton Joseph Eddie Grant, for service in the field of photojournalism and documenting the development of the diaspora community in Toronto, Canada.
Eddie Grant is a veteran photographer who has worked with the Jamaica Gleaner and several Caribbean publications in Canada.
Mrs. Daisy Marcia Hamilton Menzies, for over 41 years of public service, in particular in the area of disaster preparedness and response.
Mrs. Daisy Hamilton Menzies is a retired payroll officer at the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management.
Mr. Lennon Carl Henry, for dedicated public service for 41 years.
Lennon Henry began working at the UDC in 1980 and has provided unbroken service to the Ocho Rios Commercial Center. Being recognized here for his outstanding work.
Mrs. Christine Louisiana Johnson Wilson, for 41 years of service in the field of nursing at the University Hospital of the West Indies.
Mrs. Johnson Wilson officially entered the field of nursing in 1981, starting as a staff nurse. She completed her midwifery training. And
Mr. Winwood Lawrence, for 48 years of service to the Jamaica Red Cross. The award will be received by his son, Mr. Winwood Lawrence Jr.
Mr. Lawrence served as a driver with the Jamaica Red Cross starting in 1973 until he retired in 2021.
Mr. Hansard Lawson, for 43 years of service to the courts.
Mr. Lawson is a recently retired Deputy Clerk of the Courts who spent the last 43 years contributing to the development of the judiciary at the Westmoreland, Hanover and St. James Parish Courts.
Mr. Colin Colbert Horton Lyons, for 45 years of service to education and for community service.
Technical Training Manager at the Caribbean Maritime University, Mr. Lyons has been significantly impacting the community in which he serves.
Mr. Derek Anthony McIntosh, who will not be attending, for service to the Consulate General of Jamaica in Toronto and to the Jamaica diaspora in the Greater Toronto area. Miss Mary Jane, Miss Eileen Malcolm, for service to the Kingston Public Hospital for 50 years.
Miss Eileen assumed the position of porter at the KPH in 1973. She's a prime example of what it means to go above and beyond the call of duty.
Councillor John Liebert Myers, for dedicated service to local government as a councillor in the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation.
A renowned businessman, Mr. John Myers, has served as a councillor in the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation since 2003.
Mrs. Evelyn Plummer, for 50 years of service to early childhood education.
Mrs. Plummer has dedicated the past 50 years to early childhood education in Jamaica. Her journey began in 1972 in Westmoreland.
Mrs. Nellie Pearl Samuels Pennycook, for meritorious service to the Postal Service of Jamaica. Your Excellency, sir, could you indulge me for a moment? This venerable recipient celebrated her 100th birthday last Saturday on October 7th.
And a rousing round of applause for this centenarian. Nellie Samuels Pennycook has dedicated almost half of her life to the postal services in Jamaica, taking on the role at the age of 19 years.
Dr. Paulette Lisanne Stewart, for over 45 years of service to academia, in particular, library and information studies.
Dr. Paulette Stewart currently serves as head of the Department of Library and Information Studies, as well as senior lecturer in the Faculty of Humanities and Education at the UWI Mona.
Mr. Garnet A. Sutton, for 41 years of service to the Jamaica Civil Aviation Authority as an air traffic controller.
Mr. Sutton receiving a well-deserved award this morning.
District Constable Herbert Sinclair Telfo for sterling service of 37 years as a District Constable in the St. Thomas Division.
Hubert Telfa has been a district constable in St. Thomas for close to 40 years.
Mrs. Dottie Ten Smith for 44 years of service to education and community service.
Retired educator Dottie Smith served the Jamaican education system for 44 years, her career beginning in 1955, shortly after she graduated from the Bethlehem Teachers College.
Bishop Donovan St. Aubin Steele for over 40 years of service to religion and community development.
Bishop Donovan Steele has been serving the communities of Portland as a minister of religion and an advocate for community development for 4 decades. His passion for improving the lives of those with whom he encounters has led him to partner with organizations such as Food for the Poor Jamaica.
Ms. Lorna Edna Thompson for 42 years of service in the field of nursing.
This nurse educator has taught nursing professionals clinical skills, patient care methods, and best collaboration practices.
Ms. Angela Thomas, Justice of the Peace, for 44 years of service in the field of nursing.
Ms. Thomas served 5 hospitals across the island, including the St. Joseph's Hospital in Kingston, where she now works.
Ms. Claudia Vivine Wallen for 47 years of service in the field of nursing at the Spanish Town Hospital.
Ms. Wallen has been serving in the field of nursing since 1976. In her current role as a nurse anesthetist, Ms. Wallen provides pain medication care for patients before, during, and after surgery.
This marks the end of the presentation of the civilian badges of honor. We will return with the medals of honor for the members of the uniformed services.
You will notice on screen our very able sign language interpreter, Ms. Antoinette Aiken, the holder of an Order of Distinction in the officer class bestowed on her a few years ago. I believe it was in 2020. She is, of course, providing services to ensure that we have a more inclusive event this morning and can share with members of the community who are hearing impaired. We're standing by now for a musical selection from gospel superstar Kevin Downswell.
JDF Marcus and medal bearers, may I ask you to prepare to march on again? JDF Marcus and medal bearers, may I ask you to prepare to march on again?
And of course, that was the voice of the orator here for this morning's proceedings, Ms. Faye Ellington, also the holder of an Order of Distinction. And we are standing by, as I mentioned, for that musical selection, a performance by Kevin Downswell, following which we will go into the next set of awards, and these will be awards, medals of honor for the uniformed groups, the Jamaica Fire Brigade, the Department of Correctional Services, and the Jamaica Constabulary Force. If you're just joining us, this is the 2023 Ceremony of Investiture and Presentation of National Honors and Awards, coming to you live from King's House. It is, of course, National Heroes Day here in Jamaica, Monday, October 16, 2023. $205 awards being given out this morning here at King's House, all part of our national system of honors and awards made possible under the National Honors and Awards Act. We had awards given out in 3 categories for, I beg your pardon, in 6 categories this morning. The Order of Merit, the Order of
Ms.
Jamaica,
Holton, be ready on this end.
the Order of Distinction, Officer Class and Commander Class, the Badge of Honor for Meritorious Service, the Badge of Honor for Long Service, and we are now anticipating the award of Medals of Honor for members of
His
the
Excellency the Governor
uniformed groups.
General, acting in accordance with the provisions of the relevant regulations made under Section 7 of the National Honors and Awards Act, has been pleased to award the Medal of Honor with effect from the 23rd of May, 2023 to the following members of the uniformed services. Medal of Honor for Gallantry. Posthumous Award. Firefighter Lorenzo Dowse. The late firefighter Lorenzo Dowse was a very resourceful and active second-generation firefighter who died in the line of duty while on the scene of an emergency incident on November 30, 2022 in Ocheria, St. Anne. The medal will be received by his father, Assistant Superintendent Garnet Dowse.
And a rousing round of applause for Lorenzo Dowse, his father there on screen receiving that award, bestowed posthumously. And we see the Governor General there congratulating his father.
The Medal of Honor for Meritorious Service for members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. Deputy Superintendent of Police, Percival Octavius Anderson.
DSP Anderson receiving his Medal of Honor for Meritorious Service for 36 years at the Jamaica Constabulary Force.
Superintendent of Police, Jason Mark Anderson.
Superintendent Anderson has served the Jamaica Constabulary Force for 32 years.
Superintendent of Police, Samuel Isaac Blake.
Superintendent Blake receiving an award for 31 years of service.
Superintendent of Police, Alison Almena Byfield.
Superintendent Byfield receiving a Medal of Honor for Meritorious Service over 33 years.
Superintendent of Police, Mercedes Grace Curry.
Superintendent of Police Curry, serving 34 years in the Jamaica Constabulary Force, receiving her Medal of Honor for Meritorious Service.
Deputy Superintendent of Police, Nigel Amon Cunningham.
Deputy Superintendent of Police Nigel Cunningham.
Superintendent of Police, Dwayne Fitzgerald Daly.
And you see Superintendent Daly moving into position and saluting the Governor General, receiving his Medal of Honor for 33 years of meritorious service.
Deputy Superintendent of Police Andrew Anthony Edwards.
Deputy Superintendent Edwards. 37 years of service to the Jamaica Constabulary Force.
Deputy Superintendent of Police Linroy Somerville Edwards.
DSP Edwards, receiving a Medal of Honor for service to the police force over the course of 35 years.
Senior Superintendent of Police Gary Anthony Francis.
Very popular member of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, SSP Gary Francis, receiving an award for 31 years of service to the Jamaica Constabulary Force.
Senior Superintendent of Police Robert Gordon.
Senior Superintendent Gordon, 32 years of service to the Jamaica Constabulary Force.
Superintendent of Police Andrew Theodore Hill.
Superintendent Hill, 33 years of service.
Superintendent of Police Winston Lloyd Hunt.
Superintendent Hunt, receiving an award for 36 years of meritorious service to the Jamaica Constabulary Force.
Superintendent of Police Richard Antonio Hilton. Assistant Commissioner of Police Andrew Anthony Lewis.
Assistant Commissioner Lewis, a serving member of the Jamaica Constabulary Force for 27 years.
Senior Superintendent of Police Stephanie Nicole Lindsay.
SSP Lindsay, another very popular member of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, receiving a Medal of Honor for meritorious service over the course of 32 years. She is the lead communicator, if you will, of the JCF, head of the Constabulary Communications
Deputy
Unit.
Superintendent of Police George Everton McFarlane.
Deputy Superintendent McFarlane, 35 years of service.
Assistant Commissioner of Police Gary Anthony McKenzie.
DSP, or I should say Assistant Commissioner Gary Mackenzie, 34 years of service to the Jamaica Constabulary Force.
Senior Superintendent of Police Anthony Hugh McLaughlin.
Senior Superintendent McLaughlin, 32 years of service to the JCF.
Superintendent of Police Jervis Anthony Moore.
Superintendent Moore, serving 36 years in the Jamaica Constabulary Force.
Superintendent of Police Michael Clive Morris.
Superintendent Morris, serving member of the Jamaica Constabulary Force for 33 years.
Senior Superintendent of Police Dwight Dean Powell.
SSP Powell has been a member of the JCF for 33 years, receiving a Medal of Honor for meritorious service this morning. Bright smiles and a firm handshake with the Governor General.
Senior Superintendent of Police Calvin George Small.
Senior Superintendent Small, receiving a medal for 35 years of meritorious service.
Deputy Superintendent of Police Raymond Ronald Wilson.
DSP Wilson, another well-known figure.
And now for the members of the Department of Correctional Services. Assistant Superintendent Noel Antonio Beckford. Assistant Superintendent Carol Joan Johnson, Officer. Overseer Douglas Ellisworth Anderson. Overseer Leighton Augustus Bailey.
Tia Bailey, receiving an award for 37 years of service.
Overseer Christopher Charles Barnett.
Overseer Barnett, another member of the Department of Correctional Services, another officer receiving a Medal of Honor for 37 years of service this morning.
Overseer Prince Charles Benbow.
Overseer Benbow has served the Department of Correctional Services for 36 years. Short conversation there between the Governor General and Overseer Benbow.
Overseer John Jr. Gillespie.
Overseer Gillespie. Being recognized for 33 years of service to the Correctional Services Department.
Overseer Oliver George Loney.
Overseer Loney. 32 years of service to the Department of Correctional Services.
Overseer Houghton Howard MacDonald.
Overseer MacDonald receiving well-deserved recognition along with his colleagues. He has served with the Department of Correctional Services for 32 years.
Overseer Delroy Oliver Nicholson.
Overseer Nicholson, serving the Department of Correctional Services for 37 years.
Overseer Michael Wayne Anthony Mackenzie.
Overseer Mackenzie, serving 37 years with the Department of Correctional Services.
Overseer Joseph Nathaniel Small.
Overseer Small, serving member of the Department of Correctional Services for 38 years.
Staff Officer Oliver Leecroft Morgan.
Staff Officer Morgan has served the Department of Correctional Services for 36 years. We are approaching the conclusion of this year's National Honors and Awards ceremony of investiture and presentation here at King's House. This year we have seen the presentation of awards to 205 recipients. We're now in the section of awards, medals of honor for the uniformed groups.
Staff Officer Ewart Alexander Palmer.
Staff Officer Palmer has served the Department of Correctional Services for 33 years.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Ladies and gentlemen, we will return with the medals of honor for the remaining members of the uniformed services. But now we're going to be joined by our next performer. Our final performer is Mr. Kevin Downswell. He needs little or no introduction. The multifaceted father, husband, ordained evangelist, author, motivational speaker, and award-winning international recording artist has shared his blessings generously. His personal testimony has propelled him to the top tier of gospel singers in Jamaica, the wider Caribbean, and increasingly the world. With 4 soul-stirring worship albums that have given us songs such as You Make Me Stronger, Close to You, Carry Me, If It's Not You, he continues to impact lives. His latest production, the EP Carry Me, celebrates grace, his hit single. Let us give a warm welcome to the remarkable Mr. Kevin Downswell as he shares with us this morning Grace featuring Lucas Music.
What would I do without you? Where would we be without you? Good morning. Observing our protocols. God bless you. Yeah. What would I do without you? This is from my country. Some said you wouldn't. Them say you could. You wonder if you could. Battles in your head. Times you felt lost and broken. You felt like you couldn't make it through the day. But you know God had spoken. And He promised not to leave you. So you're standing here today singing, how did I get here? If there's anybody out there who know about the grace of God, just help me. I call it grace, grace, grace. Grace brought me here. If it wasn't for your grace, hey, I call it grace, grace, yeah. Grace brought me here. If it wasn't for your grace, ah! Times you felt lost and broken, felt like you couldn't make it through the day. Hey, but you know God had spoken. And He promised not to leave you. Hey, never know you'd still be here. Never know you'd still be safe. Never know you'd smile again. Never know you'd hope again. So you're standing here today singing. How did I get here? How am I still here? Everybody watching on your couch in the living room, help me say, I call it grace, grace, hey. Grace brought me here. If it wasn't for God, Hey, ungodly grace, yeah, yeah. Grace brought me here. All the awards, you know this, you know this, you know this. Somebody say, oh, 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 oh. Have you ever been through something and come out on the other side and look back and wonder, how did I make it through that? You know it's a miracle, 'cause God is with you, bro. Hey. For without him, where would we? I want you to help me sing the chorus right here. Say, I call it grace. Grace. Nice. Grace brought me here. Say, if it wasn't for your grace. One more time, your time, your time. I call it grace. Say, hey, hey, grace brought me here. Where would I be without you? One more time. I call it grace. I call it grace. Grace brought me here. I should have lost my mind. I should have lost my mind. You should have lost your mind. But look where God has brought you from. Yeah, yeah. I should have known that. If it had been for Jesus, where would you be? But just feel like praise God. Anybody out there feel like praise God for a second? I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you. It's a grateful day. It's a grateful day. I want to say thank you, boy. Father, we tell you thanks for my country. Look where you brought us from. It's all because of your grace, Jesus. Why we're still standing. So we love you. Father, we love you. Somebody say, Father, I love you. Somebody say, God, I love you. God bless you.
Excellent performance,
Thank you, Kevin.
as always.
Thank you very, very much. Kevin Downswell, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, may I invite you to prepare, you're not quite there yet, to prepare to make the final batch of honors and awards.
And that final batch will be for members of the Jamaica Fire Brigade, officers of the Jamaica Fire Brigade. There will be 31 medals of honor for the Fire Brigade this morning. Medals of honor for meritorious service. Earlier we saw the father of firefighter Lorenzo Dowse collecting a posthumous award for his son.
The medals of honor for meritorious service to the men and women of the Jamaica Fire Brigade. Superintendent Wilfred Raymond Faulkner.
Superintendent Faulkner has served the Fire Brigade for 21 years.
Assistant Superintendent Ricardo Dyer.
Assistant Superintendent Dyer receiving a Medal of Honor for 23 years of meritorious service to the Jamaica Fire Brigade.
Assistant Superintendent Troy Anthony Malcolm.
Assistant Superintendent Malcolm, serving member of the Jamaica Fire Brigade for 24 years.
Assistant Superintendent Anton J. Morris.
Assistant Superintendent Morris. Another officer of the JFB, the Fire Brigade, receiving a medal for 24 years of service this morning.
Assistant Superintendent Warren Anthony Thompson. Assistant Superintendent Antonio Robinson.
Assistant Superintendent Robinson, serving member of the Jamaica Fire Brigade for 24 years.
District Officer Kirk Neil Atkinson.
District Officer Atkinson, 27 years of service to the Fire Brigade.
District Officer Linville Banfield.
District Officer Banfield, serving member of the Fire Brigade for 23 years.
District Officer Omar Garth Barnes.
District Officer Barnes, 24 years of meritorious service to the Jamaica Fire Brigade.
District Officer Carlington Elvis Beeson.
District Officer Beeson, 24 years of service to the Jamaica Fire Brigade.
District Officer O'Neill Anthony Ryan.
District Officer Brian, 26 years of service to the Fire Brigade.
District Officer George Robert Chambers.
District Officer Chambers, 25 years of service to the Fire Brigade.
District Officer Christopher Courtney Clark.
District Officer Christopher Courtney Clark, 26 years of service to the Fire Brigade.
District Officer Cambry Vaughan Gentles. District Officer Fitzroy Green.
District Officer Green, 25 years of service to the JFB.
District Officer Carrie Ann Italy Heron.
District Officer Heron, 21 years of service to the Fire Brigade.
District Officer Shane Adenisa Jones Henry.
District Officer Jones Henry has been a serving member of the Jamaica Fire Brigade for 26 years, receiving a Medal of Honor for meritorious service this morning.
District Officer O'Neill St. George Carr, Justice of the Peace.
District Officer Carr, 24 years of service to the Fire Brigade.
District Officer Lesline Jean Kidd.
25 years of service for District Officer Kidd. We are approaching the end of the presentations to the Jamaica Fire Brigade. A few more to go.
District Officer Seymour McDermott.
District Officer McDermott, 26 years of service to the Fire Brigade.
District Officer Wilton Pettigrew.
32 years of service under his belt, receiving a medal for meritorious service this morning.
District Officer Gary Marquis Quest.
District Officer Quest, 28 years of service to the Jamaica Fire Brigade.
District Officer Creasy Antoinette Richardson.
District Officer Richardson, serving member of the Jamaica Fire Brigade for 27 years.
District Officer Omar Irwin Sims.
District Officer Sims, 26 years of service to the Fire Brigade.
District Officer Gregory Anthony Tucker.
"28 years of service given by District Officer Gregory Tucker.
District Officer Gary Oliver Watson.
District Officer Gary Watson, 25 years of service to the fire brigade.
District Officer Natoya Samantha Willis.
District Officer Willis, 23 years of service to the Jamaica Fire Brigade.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We have completed our Medal of Honor lists.
And we are at the end of the formal presentation of awards. 200 national honors and awards this morning. We are just about to close the official proceedings.
We're almost complete with the ceremony. And I'm going to remind you that at the end of the ceremony, the Prime Minister will be going across to greet the recipients. We're going to ask you to just allow that movement to take place. Thank you.
Looking there at 4 of the
Those of us
5
seated in the main
recipients
tent,
of
if
the
you look
Order
to the
of
left,
Jamaica.
you'll see the JDF Guard of Honor proceeding to the general ceremonial area for the march past.
The Guard of Honor will return. If you listen carefully, you will hear the strains of the Jamaica Military Band as the Guard of Honor makes its way back to the parade area. The Governor General is on his way.
I now invite you to stand for the march past of the Guard of Honor.
March past of the Guard of Honor is coming into view now of the main ceremonial area. The JDF massed bands plays a couple of pieces of music, Officer of the Day and the Swing March. Once they come into view and take up their official position on the ceremonial grounds, we will have the playing of the national rather, of the national anthem. So we have both verses of the national anthem being sung, and that will signal the official end to this morning's proceedings. Conductor of the massed bands this morning, massed bands and corps of drums. The conductor is Lieutenant Rafael Salazar, the Director of Music of the Jamaica Defence Force. Guard commander this morning is Major Keron Fairmont Speed. Precision this morning at King's House. Proceedings.
Dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our presentation of the 2023 National Honours and Awards Ceremony of Investiture at King's House. Please remain standing for the singing of the national anthem led by Captain Hugh Dowse. Thank you. Please remain standing for the departure of our officials of state and government, led by their Excellencies the Governor General and the Most Honorable Lady Allen, the Prime Minister, and the Most Honorable Mrs. Holness.
It has indeed been a wonderful morning here at King's House. We have been recognizing and honoring so many Jamaicans across many disciplines. We had a total of 205 recipients of national honors and awards. 124 civilians received honors this morning. We had 78 medals of honor given to members of the uniformed groups, and it really is such a wonderful way to close this morning's proceedings. You do hear the voice there of Faye Ellington.
The Prime Minister and the Most Honourable Mrs. Holness are escorted to greet the recipients. Guests, I'm reminding you to maintain good order and refrain from
As is customary at the end of our ceremony, we do have the Prime Minister who goes over to meet some of the recipients. We were actually able to snag none other than Ms. Natalie Grace Thompson. Is this morning? I know your middle name is Grace. Has come to light indeed. Newly minted member of the Order of Distinction in the rank of officer. They wanted to hold the mic a little closer so we can hear.
So you can hear me.
First and foremost, Miss T, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
What a wonderful honor this morning. I have to start by asking you to just share how you're feeling in this moment.
You know, I'm very proud to have been honored nationally for this industry, which in itself is a small industry in Jamaica, but an industry which is coming to light very quickly. And I accept this on behalf of the industry. Not for me alone, because I alone cannot make films. It is an industry-wide thing. It is a group of people who make films.
And it is a labor of love and has always been when it comes to the creative industries.
Sometimes it's love, sometimes it's the work. But you know, you have to love it to be able to do it. And I suppose over the years I have loved it and continued to do it. And it's been a long time.
Talk to us a little bit about some of the key points of your journey in terms of credits. I mean, feature films, TV shows, cocktails, Cool Runnings, how Stella got her groove back, Third World Cup, some really popular movies there.
Well, I started first doing commercials. I directed commercials for years and years and years, and then got into doing the overseas work, coming to Jamaica, and with that came Cocktail and, you know, Stella and Eureka and a lot of different movies coming from all over the place. And it's been a long journey. I'm very proud of the Jamaican films that I've worked on, Third World Cup, Get Alive, you know, and Sprinter. And I hope that we have some more of those. And that's what I look forward to, watching the next generation do more Jamaican films.
Indeed, and there is one thing that we're always certain of, is there is no shortage of talent in Jamaica,
and that
especially
is true.
In the creative industries.
And that is true, but I think we need to nurture that talent.
Yes.
Film is not easy to do, and without support, we need to be able to nurture that. And today, I hope that by representing the industry, myself and Justine Hensel, that we will, make people stand up and understand that there is an industry.
30 seconds, your parting word for upcoming persons in the industry, be they producers or writers.
For all people who want to make films, don't care if you're on the creative side or on the technical side, because there is a technical side too. We have to have cameras, and we have to have sound, and we have to have art direction. Whether you be on the creative side or on the technical side or on the production side, which is the business part of it, don't give up. Don't run away and go somewhere else. We need to tell our own stories, and it's you who are going to tell it.
For sure.
Because those of us who have done it for years are now stepping back. You have to tell these stories. And I encourage you to move forward and do this.
What a great way to end. Thank you so much
You're most
for speaking with us. With me, Miss Natalie Grace Thompson, newly minted member of the Order of Distinction in the rank of officer. Ms. Thompson is the head cook and bottle washer at Cinicom, receiving her award this morning for contribution to the development of the film industry in Jamaica, and such a powerful storyteller. And we are so happy that as a team, alongside the Jamaica Information Service, we could get to share some of these amazing stories with you this morning. It has been my distinct pleasure to host, to continue to anchor, to provide you with broadcast content, color commentary for the 2023 ceremony of investiture and installation of the National Honors and Awards, working alongside the team at the Jamaica Information Service in collaboration with a host of partners, the JCDC, CPTC, as well as the Public Broadcasting Corporation of Jamaica. Thank you so very much for joining us, whether you were joining online on the JIS's website or social media platforms, or on free-to-air television stations in Jamaica. Thank you so much for keeping company and for helping us to celebrate excellence once again here at King's House. I'm Stacey Ann Smith. Thank you so much for watching.